Hey everybody, it's Pastor Aaron with That Church, and here it is Monday, and we're starting a new book of the Bible, 2 John. And so we get to read the introduction to 2 John. And the introduction I read comes out of the Passion Translation of the Bible. It always introduces it so well and helps us to see what we're getting ready to read about. It says, the book of 2 John points us to the truth. Isn't that where we want to go? And encourages us to hold it fast and never let it go. The theme of John's second letter could be described as loving truth. Truth generates love, and love will always be faithful to the truth. To love God is to love His truth and cherish it in our hearts. Some scholars believe that John penned what we've called his second letter actually first, before 1 John. Given that it addresses the same heartbreaking situation of schisms over false teaching that were wrecking the fragile churches under John's care in Asia Minor, some see this as a quick, almost hurriedly written note from the heart of a spiritual father to his children in trouble. Then he followed up his initial warnings with a second letter, which we know as 1 John, to make a greater appeal and guard their ongoing spiritual lives. Others see in this letter a follow-up to the first one, possibly written to a more distant audience, or even as a cover letter to 1 John, given its personal greetings. Regardless, what's evident is that John was deeply burdened about the chaos being caused in his network of churches. This beloved disciple of Jesus wanted his disciples to experience the pure love and truth that had already been birthed in their hearts. He also wanted them to walk in love, for to walk in love is to walk in the truth of God. John's letter will bring a fresh understanding of God to your heart. Let him speak to you through his faithful servant John. Enjoy. I love it when the introductions say enjoy. Well, of course I'm going to enjoy. This is God's love letter to me. All right, the purpose. As with his first letter, John wrote to the communities to which he was an overseer. The elder is a title suggesting spiritual authority, with one singular purpose: to guard and protect them from the false teachers who had gone among them and were deceiving them. These were itinerant teachers who were bearing a truth contrary to the received Spirit-anointed truth of the gospel. He writes as a spiritual father who is concerned about schisms wreaking havoc among his beloved children. Author and audience. While the letter only identifies the author as the elder, it's clear he was in a position of spiritual authority over his community and wrote in a similar manner and tone as both 1 John and the Gospel of John. Given this, it's no surprise that the tradition from the earliest days of the church assumed the Apostle John authored the letter. Though the text doesn't bear his name, early leaders like Polycarp and Papias both ascribed it to him. Possibly written earlier than his first letter, John addressed this one to the chosen woman and her children, which you'll see when we read it. Most commentators see this as a metaphor for the church, with its spiritual believers, children, believing that John the Elder wrote the letter to a church or a network of churches. Some have viewed it more literally as written to an unnamed woman or a woman named Electa or Curia. Regardless of who the letter was written to, it is inspired of God to bring truth to our hearts and keep us from evil. There's just 3 major themes here in the book of 2 John. The first one is walking and staying in the truth. The next, loving one another. And the third one, warning about false teachers. So stay tuned. We'll be back in a few minutes, Pastor Steve and I, and we will read 2 John. There's only one chapter, but we'll read 2 John together, and we'll talk about what God's showing us through his word. So we'll see you in a little bit. Bye-bye.